everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday night. Hopefully you guys are doing well. We're going to be doing live readings on the channel this evening. We're going to be doing tarot readings. I'll give everybody a little bit of time to kind of pop in. Hopefully your guys' weekend is off to a good start. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. I'm a Western astrologer and I practice the art of working both with tarot as well as astrology. We alternate every other Friday and we do donation-based readings on the channel. So if you'd like to get a reading, here's how you're gonna do it. There's a QR code somewhere right around here. If you scan that, that's gonna take you to my PayPal where you can make a donation. We have 1 and 3 card readings. It's $20 donation for 1 card, $40 for 3 cards. Ask whatever you want. Please put your information in the memo when you make your donation. Hello, what's up, Prince? We've got a number of people who are already in the queue. I also saw Lavender made a donation. Thanks, Lavender. I've got you on my list. And we've got a number of people. So I've got Miss V, I've got Sam's Yoga, Bridget, Vanessa, Heather, all of you guys. How's everybody doing? Hey, Maria. Yeah, it's been okay. I feel like this is like the calm before the storm, you know? This next month is kind of wild with some of the astrology, but so far so good. All right, so if there's any level 3 people who would like to get their reading for the month, let me know. I know we've gotten a couple of you guys already, but February is a short month, so this is going to be the very last, I guess, like opportunity to get your monthly reading in. For February, equally, if you guys want to join my memberships, I've got 3 different levels. So if you like my content, you can get in and subscribe, or I guess become a member for any of those particular levels. But with level 3, you're going to get a reading once a month. And we also take level 3 people first, just to make sure that we're checking in with them. What's up, Heather? Hey, Miss V. Yeah, it's a little funky. It's gonna be a little funky tomorrow too with all the squares with the moon. But you know, we've got a number of planets that are gonna be at 29 degrees. So it's gonna be like extra. I'm not gonna say crazy, but you'll see. Well, thank you, I appreciate it. And if you guys haven't already seen them, horoscopes are out for February, just like shameless plug, that's out for all of you guys. I talk a little bit about Saturn changing signs and Pluto changing signs for each of the 12 signs, so make sure you check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna start first with Miss V. And thank you for joining me. It's always nice to read for you. Miss V would like to have a 3-card reading for the month of March. She wants to know what she might expect. So let's see what the cards say for you. All right. So this is the order that they come out in. All over the place. Do you have a lot of mutable placements in your chart? I forget. Is there a lot of mutable going on in your chart, either natally, or do you have like a mutable rising sign? So we've got the 9 of Cups. Yeah, that's what this looks like. 9 of Cups, 9 of Swords, Wheel of Fortune. It's a little bit of like sweet and salty aspects, right? The reason why I asked if it was mutable is because it seems like there's some high highs and some low lows. And I know a lot of like the mutable placements are going through that right now. You know, you've got 2 of the best cards in the deck sandwiched between one that's just pure stress and anxiety. So if we start first with the 9 of Cups, it's talking about wishing goals, wish fulfillment, hoping to achieve or complete something, and feeling pretty excited about what you've been able to achieve. Now, this is in the past position. So maybe there's been a sense of reflecting on, okay, well, this is what's happened throughout this last year, or this is what I've been working on, or this is what I wanted to achieve. And then it's like, oh my gosh, now what's next? Like now there's another lesson coming. Sometimes it can also be stress or about knowing almost like what you have to do in order to achieve what your goal is. I also feel like the Nine of Swords can be, you know, issues sleeping. There can be kind of like moodiness, you know, and things that are creating mental distress. Obviously, he's up, right? This is a card that you see in regards to like nightmares or worst case scenario situations. Okay, so you're Sag rising. So, you know, with that, you got Mars in your 7th house and all the squares to your 4th house. So that could literally mean like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? Or, you know, what if X, Y, and Z happens? And then your, you know, brain goes into like fear mode. I think it's just reminding you that in order to get to where you want to go, there are some things that have to be faced or have to be dealt with. And it's about not approaching change in a fearful manner, or not putting yourself in a position of being like, what if this happens? This is worst case scenario. I'm sure you guys have heard the phrase, although I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, like anything that can happen likely will, right? So if your mind is going to, this is worst case scenario, you don't want to be putting energy into bringing up some of those situations to either A, resolve any fears, or B, possibly just because you're sending like static, right, into the cosmos. Be mindful of your sleeping habits. I would say like winding down and having like a meditation practice, or like literally unplugging from electronics before you're going to sleep. That's going to be really helpful. And then we've got finally the Wheel of Fortune. So this is the card that talks about fortune being in your favor, things that are kind of swinging in your direction, sudden opportunities for change. Generally, as long as it's surrounding a positive card or it's the outcome card, I do feel confident that it's saying like everything is happening the way that it's supposed to. I'm also wondering if this is about you going through the process of like realizing, in order to get like where you want to go or receive like blessings, that there is a need to move through things much more quickly, or allow some things to kind of come to a completion or come to an end. Sag rising, Jupiter and Gemini, North Node, Virgo. So there you go, right? And that's a lot of feeling like at a crossroads. You're really getting hit with that Mars and that Neptune transit, and it's activating a grand mutable cross in your chart. So it's basically very active, right? You're seeing these planetary aspects in your angular houses, and everything does affect each other. But what I like about those squares is that ultimately it does push the wheel of the chart to turn, which is basically saying all 4 houses need to get on board with activating changes, which is going to bring you new opportunities. You know, Virgo, Gemini, Sag, Pisces, all these mutable placements are about the changing of the seasons. And actually, you know, mutable placements, they do deal with change better than most other signs. So I think that the Wheel of Fortune is basically saying things might seem a little tough. It might seem like things are changing and you might get kind of anxious about what's changing, but know that some of these changes are for the better, and it's to ultimately help you get to where it is that you're aiming to go. Give yourself appreciation, like give yourself a pat on the back for some of the things you have been able to achieve recently. Don't get worked up in like this whole, okay, well now I got to get to the next, you know, goal, or now I got to get to where I'm going. Kind of reminds me like on Sundays where people start stressing about work and they're like, oh, I already have like the Monday blues because I know I go back to work tomorrow. There can be a sense of that going on with you right now, where you're like, okay, that goal is complete, or I've done this thing, but that means now this is the next on my kind of to-do list, and you're already dreading some of the changes that you're gonna have to make to actually facilitate change. Try to stay optimistic and know that everything that's going on right now isn't necessarily negative, okay? Good luck. Obviously, March is gonna be a big month for Sag risings because you've got Saturn going into your whole sign 4th house. I would look into that transit. What's up, Claudia? You can definitely cash in. Just let me know what your question is. I'll make a note that we got to chat. So we'll take Claudia. And thank you, Katie. I got you. We're gonna leave, well, I'll leave the queue open probably for 15, 20 minutes. So if you guys want to get a reading at any point, you can scan the QR code and you can get in below. Thank you, I got you guys. I will add you to the list. Margaret, Kimberly, Janae, and Katarina. see. I know some people are asking, so I'll go through who I have already if you don't hear your name. So it was Miss V, S, or Sam's Yoga, Bridget, Vanessa, Heather, Lavender, Margaret, Kimberly, Janae, and Katarina. I got you, Lavender, don't worry. What's up, Jay Fabulous? All right, Claudia says, the Aquarius, 2276, I'm dating, has walls, and isn't wanting to commit to me. I'm going nuts. What's her deal? Is she worth the wait? 1027, 78. So we've got a classic Scorpio, Aquarius, square. Let's take a look and let's see what you need to know about her not committing. Is she worth it? Thank you for that, Miss V. I appreciate it. Good luck. All right, Claudia, let's see if she's worth it. Oh, that one wants to come out. All right. Sometimes they jump out. All right, so this is the order that they came in. We've got the Judgment card, the King of Cups, and the Seven of Wands. You know, it's interesting because I do feel like this is beyond belief, having their guard up. I'm not going to say walls, but I'm going to say guard up for sure. Judgment and the King of Cups makes me feel like there can be a sense of somebody who's perhaps on the precipice of making definitive decisions about their emotions in regards to the relationship, okay? Judgment is basically reviewing everything that's happened. It's reviewing everything that's gone on in past relationships, perhaps reviewing everything that's gone on in terms of your guys' dynamic before making a definitive decision about what direction you guys are going to be going in. It's not good nor bad. It's just neutral. It does make me feel also that like the past is somehow playing a role in the present, because the Judgment in the past is kind of saying perhaps you met somebody who told themselves, I'm not looking for a relationship right now, or I'm not dating anytime soon, or I'm not opening myself up to someone again, or I'm not ready for commitment, whatever. And then we've got the King of Cups, which does talk about trying to master or be on top of their emotions, right? And kings are very active, they're very bold, so there can be a sense of them acting this way or her acting this way because she's channeling that much more masculine energy in terms of not wanting to have anything interfering with her emotional, her emotional balance. Let's just put it that way. They don't want to be knocked off the hill. Right? So when I think of the King of Cups in the center position, I feel like this is her really trying to be in control of her emotions and maybe getting overwhelmed that she's getting a little swept up in emotions, or that she's feeling things, or she doesn't want to be emotionally vulnerable. The King of Cups upright does tell me though, like there's nothing wrong. Like it's not that this person doesn't have an interest, or it's not that this person isn't even, having feelings for you. I think it's that they're just trying to wrangle and kind of rein it in a little bit. The King of Cups also does talk about the ability for her to express herself maturely, or to be somebody who's perhaps being very decisive when it comes to relationships, because kings aren't just going to partner with anybody. They also have a tendency to let their element lead the way. So King of Cups can suggest intuition, emotions, that kind of stuff. Seven of Wands is an interesting one because that does make me feel like there's like a back off energy, or an energy of being like, don't get too close. Don't get too close to me. Like, I don't want you to totally figure me out yet, or I need to maintain some sense of independence. Like, I don't want to feel like I don't have the upper hand in the situation. Which is funny because I feel like the Judgment in the King of Cups makes me feel as if your guys' initial interaction, perhaps maybe just your demeanor being a water sign, was a little disarming, right? So there can be a sense of this person being like, okay, like what's the catch? Like what's going on here? Like, and really rethinking everything that they thought potentially about relationships. But with the Seven of Wands, that is a minor arcana, meaning that energy can be changed. It can be something where somebody eases up a little bit. The next card that comes after this is the Eight of Wands, which is like hurry up and go. So I get the impression that this is just more them kind of moving through the motions of being like, okay, you know, am I going to let history repeat itself, or do I need to practice a lot of emotional security and be cautious before, you know, kind of giving my heart away? And that there can be a sense of maybe them feeling feelings very quickly. That's not unusual with Aquarians. Once they start to kind of feel like maybe they're merging with another person, there is this Uranian kind of instinct that just cracks and goes, no, I still need to kind of like maintain mine, like we can be together. But so perhaps that's what's going on, right? Several years of Saturn-Uranus squares that have been taking place, which has been really challenging for all of the fixed signs. You're getting it more in the sense of, you know, relationships and feelings. Sometimes there is space between people and relationships and emotional disconnection, while Aquariuses are really learning that there is a need to like really break free and redefine who they are and also their home base. So there can be this sense of you being like, I need that connection and security, and they're like, I need to have my own space. So you're feeling the square, right? This is not a doom and gloom type reading, in my opinion. This makes me feel like if you stay with it and if you're patient and continue to stay emotionally connected and also communicate and express how you're feeling, and that you also are making decisions about what direction you're going in terms of your love life, and that you're hoping to continue to stay connected to them, but that you're not going to be somebody who's going to be at the other end of a relationship trying to push things along and trying to get them out of their comfort zone. They either do it or they don't. When I flipped this card over, just the bottom of the deck, I always use as a confirmation. I get the Two of Swords. And that kind of makes me feel like they're indecisive. It's not that they're in and out, right? That would be like the two of coins. This is more, do I open up to them and tell them, you know, what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling? They can be very anxious. I personally think that there is a sense of them feeling like there is a connection there, and there is fear of acknowledging it, or fear of allowing that to kind of run away with their heart or their feelings. But I would be patient just a little bit longer. Specifically, Two of Swords, Seven of Wands. You're looking at, you know, 7-8 weeks that you're going to continue to keep doing this. But know that there's real emotions there. There's real feelings there. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Thank you for your question. We've got S, Sam's Yoga. So the question is, what's next in romantic relationships? All right, Sam, this is for you. Happy Friday, Marcia. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say for what's next for relationships. Cancer, Sun, Cap, Rising. You got your work cut out for you. All right, so this is what I got. Five of Coins, Three of Wands, Temperance. Well, a little bit of feeling out in the cold. You know, I mean, the Five of Coins coming up in the previous position kind of feels as if a feeling of being left behind or forgotten or on your own, out in the cold, you know, tending to yourself, not really feeling the love, not feeling connected. There can be a sense of also in the past position feeling kind of pushed out of a romantic connection, or that somebody did not bother or care to follow up, or that somebody you have disconnected with has acted very coldly towards you. Once again, that's in the past position. So maybe that's also a mindset of being like, okay, what's the point? I tried, but it doesn't work. I don't even know if I should keep trying. So that could be something else that can come up with that. The current position of the Three of Wands talks about being open and optimistic and like ready to get back on the horse, get back out there, or you're positive or optimistic about a pre-existing romantic connection, about what the future holds. And you're very excited about not just talking about it, but being about it, seeing action and forward motion in a relationship, and also leading with passion, right? So the Three of Wands talks about where can I go, or what can I do, or what are we doing together? This might also talk a little bit about you being more active, or maybe getting more active in like either creative projects, getting more active with travel, connecting with people in other places. Intuitively, just knowing that you're a Capricorn rising, you know, you're going to see that the eclipses and also the North Node and the Jupiter transit moving into your whole sign 5th house will bring opportunity for love, right? It will. Because the 5th house is what we love, and it's taking chances, and it's also romance and having fun. And being that Taurus is there, it's a Venus related house. So at the very least, you're going to possibly take up a hobby or something that could be productive. It could be lucrative. At the very most, it could be that. It could be meeting the love of your life. It could be launching your own business, having a child. There's a million different ways that that could play out. I think about how for a Cap rising, you know, Jupiter rules your 3rd house of short distance travels and apps and communication. I think about how it also rules your 12th house of Sagittarius. And I would say learning new languages, traveling to places you haven't been, connecting with people in other places, maybe going and taking workshops or classes on stuff that's creative. These are all ways that through following your passion or your interests, you're going to have the ability to kind of open up the likelihood that you're going to meet somebody who's going to be a match for you. And that's really what the 3 of Wands is about. It's about going after it, not waiting for somebody else to incentivize you, not waiting for somebody to give you an offer. It's just being like, no, I'm going to start doing the stuff I want to do. Then we've got the Temperance card. Okay, so this is positive because this is also kind of doubling down. This is very Saggy type energy. It does talk about healing situations. Temperance is about the timing and the timing being right. And not rushing the process. Sometimes it's about not rushing the healing. Sometimes it's about not rushing the process of being like, I need to jump back into a relationship, or I need to immediately go 0 to 60. I think it talks about the process of getting to know somebody and also getting to know yourself again and what it is that you want out of a relationship or what it is that you want out of life. Now, the Temperance card also has connections to alchemy, magic, intentions, rituals. You know, specifically, you see he's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So it talks about working with other realms. I like that the daffodils in the background, when I teach about tarot, I talk about how that's symbolic of new life and fertility and springtime, which here in the Northern Hemisphere, that's what we're coming into pretty soon. You've got the sun rising in the background, and also he's talking about the interconnectedness of, you know, different time periods. So I would say you want to do something probably working with the elements that are in the card. You can work with water, you can work with earth, you can work with air to be able to start alchemizing some of these energies and helping you like manifest a relationship. So maybe go and do something out in nature, right? You could go to a river, you could leave some flowers, you could leave some honey, just asking to bring some sweetness into your life when the timing is right. That might be something that you want to meditate on also, is when the timing is right. Although I'll tell you, you want to look to when, you know, Jupiter moves into your 5th house, which is going to be in May. You want to look at what aspects it's going to be making as well. You know, Taurus is very friendly with Cancer. So you're going to have positive energy going back and forth between your 5th house and your 7th house. And the 5th house is where we fall in love. The 7th house is where we commit. So likely, I would just make the assumption that in the spring, over the next 3 months, you're going to see pretty much from about April all the way through the better part of July, that's when it's going to be most lit up in your chart, especially with the eclipses that are coming in. Just focus on going and participating and doing things or being places where you feel like it's going to help you heal, or it's going to help you, you know, kind of get involved in new spaces and places and be connecting with other people. And it's, yeah, you're going to find that somebody's going to come in. Equally, I would say this may be about you doing healing revolving around the heart space with transits in the 5th house, or healing revolving around past relationship issues or inner child stuff. Healing seems to be a really big theme with the Temperance card coming up. So I think that you're in that phase right now. And the more that you're actively doing that work, the easier it's going to be to find that you can connect with someone. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Some really good questions. We've got Bridget, then Vanessa, and then Heather. If you guys are just tuning in, you want to get a reading, scan the QR code below and you can get on the queue. Leave it open for a few more minutes. All right, so Bridget says, I'm new. I'm in a new, there we go. I'm in a new relationship and it's not very balanced. He has some healing he's doing and can be a lot. I want to know if this will be a lasting relationship. I'm willing to stick it out, but if it gets so difficult a lot of times, wait, you said something else. The person's name I'm in a relationship with is Ruben. For reference, my birthday is 4/30/71, so you're a Taurus, and his birthday is 1/1/68. He is a Capricorn. Okay, so let's take a look. So your original question was basically, you want to know if this is going to be a lasting relationship because it's a little sticky there. Thanks, H. I'll update you and put you on my list in just a second. All right, Bridget. So let's take a look. Let's see. Is this going to be a long relationship? He's working through some stuff. Can you stay with it while he does? These are the cards that I got in this order. Holy cow. Holy cow. Bridget, you are so magical. You're like the medicine, huh? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Even though you're not trying to be intentionally, I think just being around and holding space definitely helps. Here's the deal. These are all positive cards. But regardless of what I say, you have to listen to your intuition. For me, like the High Priestess card, if it's coming up for me, like if I'm doing a reading for myself, it's like whatever I was thinking about, or if I was like, hey, is this gonna happen? That's always my confirmation. That's like, yes, this could happen. Why are you asking me, right? Secondly, when the High Priestess card comes up, it is also talking about waiting and watching, like letting things come to you and not feeling like you have to do anything externally to intervene with the situation. The High Priestess is way too smart for that. She just knows she just has to sit there, and as long as somebody is willing to ask her questions or ask to read the scrolls or have, access to the sacred knowledge or ask for a reading, she will do all of those things. So really what it's saying, I'm kind of beginning at the end here, is that if he comes to you and is asking for assistance and guidance, you can help him, right? But you can't necessarily be his teacher. You have to be somebody who, when asked, will intervene, but you can't do the work for him, okay? So the reason why I was saying this is like so magical is it starts with the Queen of Cups. So it is saying like, hey, I really have a connection with this person. It may be difficult for you because perhaps you feel like it has an emotional effect on you. Like maybe you're very empathic and you feel like you're picking up on his moods and his temperament. Maybe you feel like you're picking up on insecurities, or maybe you're, connecting with him can be very difficult because you like peace. You like having that emotional stability, right? You're a Taurus, that's what you like. I think the Queen of Cups also talks about the sense of sensitivity and the wanting to be with this person through that process, and that the way that you're feeling is very genuine. Perhaps it's also talking about your intuition and the fact that you're like, okay, I feel like there's something here and it's very different than what I've had with other people, and that you're very in touch with that. Or maybe you're in touch with the fact that mixing with him energetically while he's in the process of doing or not doing the work has an impact on you. The Ten of Coins does talk about long-term potential. So if a client were to say to me flat out, like, is there long-term potential in this relationship? Could I potentially marry this person? Is this business relationship going to work out? If I pull the 10 of coins, that's a pretty clear indication that that's a yes. So you got that. Asking me point blank, is there long-term potential here? Yes, but it's going to be work, right? 10 of Pentacles says not everything just shows up overnight. It's something that's built over time and it's developed. It also says that there is an opportunity when both parties are at their most stable, emotionally, spiritually, financially, health-wise. That's when they're able to create their kingdom. So like everybody's gonna have all their marbles, basically, right? And I think with the High Priestess coming up, it's like you maybe begrudgingly kind of biting your tongue and, staying calm and like trying to not get frustrated because you may feel like, hey, this is my person. This could be a long-term thing. There's something here that's really magical. But you also know that you cannot intervene unless he asks you for help. So giving him advice or telling him what to do, or perhaps even being too lenient or being too available, or allowing yourself to be present if he's not doing the work is also gonna, it's gonna do you a disservice. So I think you know that, especially because you've been really focused on emotional stability, looking for long-term security, somebody who has the same intentions that you do, especially when it comes to life goals, right? How you're living, how your health is, how your finances are, and planning. And what I like about both of your guys' placements together, if I just think about this in terms of like the zodiac wheel, Taurus or the second house represents like that stability in the chart, right? Taurus and Virgo provide the foundation literally for Capricorn to be able to be out there kind of running the world. So Capricorn really relies on the stability, the love, the grounding energy that comes from Taurus. Without that, they couldn't do all the things that they're doing. So perhaps maybe a lot of this is also kind of going like, okay, look, even though there's potential here, you cannot enable him. It's really important that you don't enable him, because if you want to see this maintain, if you want this to become a long-term relationship, he has to learn how to find his peace without always feeling like you're going to be the one who's going to step in and give him guidance and also help him, right? But there is potential here. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good luck. Some good readings this evening. Let me update this chart. So I'm going to have Vanessa, Heather, and Lavender next. Let me add these people who are on here. Vanessa, Heather, Lavender, Margaret, Kimberly, Janae, Katarina, Joseph, Helen, Stephanie. I got you guys. All right, so what's up, Vanessa? Let's see what Vanessa says. I haven't looked at your question yet. Okay. Vanessa says, hi, smiley face. I deleted the Virgo off of Instagram. I'm pretty convinced he's dating someone, although I've really had dreams about him and see his name in random places. Is he manifesting me, or is it just a coincidence? Also, I'd like to know what's in store for me and for my love life the remainder of the year. Let's take a look. So what's going on with these coincidences? What do they mean? And what does the future hold for the rest of the year? Difficult for Virgos. Pisces is where Saturn is moving into. That's your opposite sign. Here's what I got. Okay. I've noticed a lot of these positive cards sandwiched in between swords. You guys are all stressing out a lot. You guys are stressing out. All right, so we've got another Nine of Cups, followed by the Eight of Swords, followed by the Queen of Wands. I think the Nine of Cups is basically referencing something very similar to that last reading. What is it that you want? What do you want? Literally, I was probably the first or the second reading. We had the cups with what was it? The Nine of Swords? What do you want, right? The Nine of Cups is about wishing for something, getting what you want, fulfillment. I do think that this is about you setting intentions in regards to bringing in relationships. I also feel like this is about you going, I need confirmation that what I want is going to happen. So if, and this is a big if, in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I'm doubting that I'm going to hear from him again. I'm doubting that he's going to come back. I'm doubting there is a connection there. That could very much be that Eight of Swords of, I'm not seeing it. It can be about not seeing it, not believing it, not hearing it, and feeling like you're kind of stuck or you're trapped. I don't think it's about moving on, because the Queen of Wands isn't going to have a problem doing that. But do you feel like in the back of your mind, you have put a lot of thought into the connection with him, and you still feel like he's going to return, or you still feel like that there's a future between the two of you guys? Because the Nine of Cups is very confident. The Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands is very confident as well. Especially when I think about romantic connections, sexual connections, passions, desire. This can also represent this focus so heavily on, I know what I want in a relationship. These are my non-negotiables and I need to move forward. The right now card is saying you're having a difficult time seeing the forest through the trees. Like you're having a difficult time seeing that there is somebody who's coming. So you're looking for synchronicities and things from the universe to let you know whether or not you hold up your energy for him or you keep it moving. Now, the Queen of Wands doesn't have problems meeting people. She doesn't have problems bringing people in. Her best, I think, trait and quality is telling people when to hit the road or when they've overspent, time or worn their welcome. So it's about kind of embodying that energy and knowing when to be like, we got to keep things moving. This isn't connecting for me, or you're not moving fast enough, or I don't really feel that passionate about this. You just keep it moving. Right now, with that Eight of Swords popping up in between two very positive cards, I think is saying that you're having a hard time wrapping your head around the fact that you have to trust that what you want is going to show up because you're not seeing it, right? Here we go. I still feel like we have unfinished business, but he said he likes me. He just doesn't know why he can't commit with me. Okay, so I think that this is about breaking out of that mindset that's like, oh, there's something wrong with me, or there's something that's keeping us from coming together, or I can't move on. No. Queen of Wands is like, no, we got to keep it moving, and we got to like figure out where the next big burst of creativity or connection or romance, but more for passion, right? It's not like the Queen of Cups who's like pining over someone. The Queen of Wands is like, I'm interested in you. If you want to do this thing, let's do it. If not, I have 3 other people I can call. So it's very confident in a sense of knowing her worth and acting on it, right? And she's still young. She's not like the Queen of Swords or the Queen of Coins, who's going to be a little bit more conservative and they're going to care more about what people think. So I would advise you with the Queen of Wands coming up to remind yourself that you can have really whatever it is that you want by staying stuck and feeling as if you're not good enough, or that you did something wrong, or that you need to hold back because the universe is giving you little signs and symbols. I don't think they're doing that I don't think the universe is doing that intentionally to make you feel stuck. I think it's just confirming what you're already believing, which is we have unfinished business, right? And what's really funny is like, it doesn't matter if you have unfinished business from a few weeks ago or from like 10 years ago. If it's unfinished, you guys will finish it. Especially with the Queen of Wands, because it makes me feel like once you switch your energy, look at all this yellow. Look at all this yellow. This is why I love teaching tarot. All the yellow that kind of just blocks out the gray, which is really dull and kind of stuck and like sickly. This is your confirmation card, the Strength card, which is basically saying you can't force things, that you have to allow things to come to you. So I feel like with this coming up as your confirmation, it's just letting you know, like, just go and do your thing. Focus on you, focus on other people that you can connect with. Know that you're going to be pulling people in with your energy, especially now that there's been some severance from him a little bit, maybe in terms of not focusing on him or not feeling like he's the only person. Equally, like, there's no cards coming up saying, yes, there's other people. That's not what this is saying, right? The Nine of Cups is more about getting what you want. The Queen of Wands is kind of saying this is your outcome specifically. And, twin flames, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in that. Just me personally, I'm not going to make fun of it. I feel like we have a lot of soul connections. Like if you guys have read the book, Journey of Souls, basically like a lot of soul groups will reincarnate together. So people will play different parts during different incarnations. That's what I believe in personally. But I do feel like there can be this sense with the Eight of Swords coming up for you that you're just like, I'm just like stuck to this person and like, we're just going to keep doing this and we have to work this out. That's fine. But you have to be the one moving forward right now, because if you guys do have that unfinished business, you have to let him come to you, especially because you're going to have a lot more. You're going to be able to, I'm not going to say throw your weight around a little bit more, but you're going to have a little bit more control, right? With the Queen of Wands coming up, it suggests that you're going to be the one that's like, what do you want when he comes back? And anybody who says to you like, oh, I have feelings, but I don't know why I can't commit, I'd be like, bye. Because if he really did, he would see that you're not going to sit around and wait for him, and he would act on that. I'm less concerned about there being other people. I'm more concerned about you realizing that part of the process of him coming back around is you moving on. So you have to do that. And you've seen this happen before with him, you know, when you were like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. And then you take some time off, he comes back around. So what you're going to want to do when that happens inevitably is really focus on the energy of the Queen of Wands and make it very clear about what does and doesn't work for you. And also, I think the Strength card is reminding you that you just can't force some things. It sounds like the issues are more so with him and him having confusion about what he wants in a relationship. And I'll go as far as saying, I also think that he may not know what it's like to be in a healthy dynamic if he's got somebody who's, you know, connecting and communicating and giving him attention, and he's going, well, I like you, but I'm not feeling anything. Probably not the time to be in a relationship if that's how he's feeling, because he may be used to relationship patterns where he's reaching for love that's not obtainable. So he's got this, you know, perspective of relationships that it's like always reaching, but when somebody's there, he doesn't know how to respond. And that's what I like about the Strength card, is saying he has to be the one that's going to come back around. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Those are some pretty positive cards for you though. Just don't get stuck in the Eight of Swords. Don't get stuck there. All right, so we've got Heather. And I will leave the donations open for 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. All right. 3 cards. I feel a soulmate connection with the man I'm talking to. Will we be in a relationship in the next 6 months? He's a Sag, I'm an Aquarius, both Gemini moons. His North Node is conjunct my Sun by 3 degrees. Because of work schedules, we don't get to see each other a lot. Okay, let's take a look. I like that North Node Sun synastry. Let's take a look. So is this going to be a relationship within the next 6 months for Heather and the Sag? In this order, hello, there we go. All right, so we've got 6 of Swords, Hierophant, and the 2 of Swords. It leaves you on a cliffhanger. The King of Swords is your confirmation. I'll put that to the side for a second. Okay, so 6 of Swords and the Hierophant. What's the deal? Somebody seems like they caught the other person like in limbo. Did one of you guys just get out of a relationship recently? Is one of you guys just kind of like feeling like your life is at a crossroads? Did somebody just recently go through a big change or a move? Anything like this? 6 of Swords is about getting from point A to point B. So it can talk about looking for more stability. It can be talking about looking for more peaceful, serene, environments, having come out of something that has been very difficult or very challenging. So sometimes I see this card when somebody's like, I just got out of a relationship. I just got divorced. I don't really see myself settling down. There can be some stuff like that coming up for one of you guys. Then we have the Hierophant coming up, which is interesting because this is a card that does talk about stability, right? It talks about what is considered to be what you're supposed to do. It can be about marriage. It can be about long-term commitments and things that are honored through rituals or rites or perhaps even ceremonies. This also talks about kind of maturity, coming to a point in your life where you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit more traditional. Here we go. I went through a lot with my Saturn return. Okay. So this can sometimes be a marriage card. I feel like right now there is like a sense of maybe either you or him or both of you guys kind of assessing what's gone on over the last 6 months in your lives and kind of being like, okay, what am I looking for? Perhaps this means that you guys are going to, through this encounter with each other, realize what you are or are not looking for. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with the 2 of Swords. It's kind of saying like, okay, maybe you guys come together to figure out what it is that you're looking for in a long-term relationship. And I do think that one of you guys is a little indecisive. The 2 of Swords is indecisive. The 6 of Swords is indecisive. It just knows that it's moving forward. I would really recommend and encourage you not to worry about the past, not be stressing out about the past, whether that's relationships that you've been in, what's gone on for you in this most recent year, or him. Like, there's no need to really talk about that because it seems like both of you guys need to move forward. There's nothing back there that you guys need to rehash or you need to like reconsider. I do feel like the Hierophant talks about, like I said, structure and commitment. So at the very least, I would be having conversations with him about what are you looking for? You know, if you're saying that you guys have 2 different work schedules and it's hard to see each other, okay, that's all you guys need to do is talk about it and talk about how you are willing to either make sacrifices or commitments to be able to either see each other more, speak more, so you can feel like there is some growth. 2 of Swords makes me feel like this can also be an encounter where one of you guys is very definitive about what it is that you want. You're very clear and the other person isn't. And if you were to take some space from the other person and let them be, they will realize, you know what, actually, maybe I do think that I want that too, because somebody's going to be a little bit more hard when it comes to commitment. Somebody's going to have a difficult time, I think, also communicating and saying what it is that they really want. Perhaps maybe it's that you got one person who's interested in the relationship for the sake of security and commitment, and the other person's more so looking just for a connection. There's no definitive kind of thing that's on their agenda. Now, what's interesting is the King of Swords does come up as the confirmation card. So it is mirroring what I was saying, have the conversations. Don't let things be like loosey-goosey. This isn't like the kind of connection that you want for 6 months where you're just kind of texting each other back and forth and being like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working. Okay, great. And then it never goes anywhere, right? Because it is saying that if there is a sense of indecisiveness or somebody not able to take action or make up their mind, then it is going to be harder to see this kind of come full circle in terms of a relationship. But the King of Swords, I feel like, is about having those challenging conversations and saying like, well, if you work all of the time, do you feel like you have time for a relationship? You know, are you willing to make time? Or, you know, do we need to talk about maybe both trying to get the same day off a week so we can try to see each other at least more consistently? The King of Swords does also suggest that there is an opportunity for the Aquarius, so that's you, to be much more clear and cut and dry also about your intentions, right? And what you want or what you believe or what you have to say. You don't have to push it along, but I do think that with this card coming up with the Hierophant, there is a need to set like terms or limits. You may not necessarily do this verbally, but you may say to yourself, I feel like this is a strong connection. I'm going to give this 6 months. I'm going to see where it goes. I'm going to really see if his actions, right, line up with what he's saying to me. And so I would follow that. Even still, the Hierophant can be a commitment-oriented card. So I don't feel like this is a bad reading. I think all of the swords are saying that a lot of how this pans out and how quickly you guys could potentially have the agreement or the understanding that you're in a committed relationship is going to be based off of how you communicate. And a lot of time can be saved by just cutting to the chase and being like, what are you looking for? Okay, great. This is what I'm looking for. What are we doing? And not just letting it be this thing that kind of cycles through and it's just kind of communication, but you guys aren't really seeing each other. You know, there needs to be some kind of structure. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Come back, let us know how it goes with him. We are going to close the donation for readings now, guys. We left it open, but we are going to close it. You're welcome. We've got Lavender, Margaret, and then Kimberly. Lavender, Margaret, and then Kimberly. All right, let me scroll up here. Lavender, thanks for your patience. Lavender says, does my coworker have a crush on me? Will he ask me out? Let's take a look. I'm still updating you guys. Hold on. So I've got, I'm going to read this out. Don't worry, I got you, Tiffany. Kimberly, you're here. Yep, so I'm going to take Lavender, Margaret, Kimberly, Janae, Katarina, Joseph, Helen, Stephanie, Angie, Miss Thompson. Tiffany. I got you, don't worry. And I'll let you guys know when I'm like within 3 people of your reading, so that way your ears can perk up. All right, so Lavender, let's see, does your coworker have a crush on you, and are they gonna ask you out? All right, so in this order, there we go. We have got the Chariot, the 9 of Wands, and the 2 of Wands. Oh boy. So starting with the Chariot, it kind of feels like there is this, it's kind of like, you can tell the Chariot has like a pulse to it, right? It's moving. Things are moving very quickly. So you can feel it, you can see it, you see the possibility that it has the opportunity to go somewhere. Maybe you feel like there was a sense of that person, I'm not gonna say aggressively, but definitely like hovering around you, talking to you, being around, like you kind of felt like it was going in that direction. But the Chariot also feels like it could be a bit chaotic, or questioning whether or not they should continue with the interactions that they're having with you in the pace or the manner that they're doing that, because it also could potentially be something that the wheels could fall off and it would be kind of dangerous dating within the workspace. So the Chariot's kind of like, okay, it's going somewhere, and is it pulling back? So I'm wondering, has there been like a change in the demeanor? Has there been like a sense of somebody was really talking to you a lot and it was going somewhere and then they pulled back? The 9 of Wands is a very different card. This is kind of like assessing the situation, feeling like it's challenging, having a difficult time, maybe working up the nerve to saying something to you, questioning whether or not it's a good idea, questioning whether or not that the interest would be reciprocated. You know, the 9 of Wands can also talk about you being like, okay, am I gonna have to be the one to do it? Like, why would it have to be me? I don't wanna have to be the one to do it, because there is a sense of frustration and agitation, or feeling overwhelmed with having to be the one to kind of like make that jump. Two of Wands talks about the opportunities that are ahead of you guys. I do feel like that's an offer, because the 2 is usually something you do with another person. So somebody might say something to you like, or they may open up a conversation like, what are you doing this weekend? Or what are you having for lunch? You know? Or what are you listening to there? Like ways to kind of start conversation or initiate something. Here we go. Lavender says, that happens every week. One day super flirty, the next day silence. I sit by the printer and he always prints something but never actually prints anything. He just wants to talk to me. Yeah. So personally, I would say until there is something substantial, like he actually engages in a way where he's starting to talk to you about what your plans are, because 2 of Wands is about plans, then you can say something. So if he's asking you about plans over the weekend, if he's asking you about where you're going for lunch, if he's asking you about something in terms of doing something, sure, then you can jump in. But otherwise I would wait, because I do get the impression that he wants to say something. He'll ask about my weekend. If he asks you preemptively. So if he asks you what you're doing, and if you're going somewhere, you can say, why don't you come? Okay. So anything where he's opening the door, that is where you can jump in and you can say, okay, yeah, let's do something. Because to me, it seems like you don't want to be the one to do it. And also he's very, I'm not going to say hot and cold, but I think in the back of his mind, he's like, what if this doesn't go very well? Like, what if it doesn't pan out the way that I think it's going to pan out? The Chariot can also talk about physically going somewhere together, going on a bike ride, going on a walk, going for a drive, you know, somebody offering you a ride home from work, like something like that. If anything like that pops up, I would do that as well. But I don't feel like it needs to be you. I feel like he's afraid maybe of rejection, and he's afraid that if he says something and it's not like reciprocated, that you're going to, you know, be like, no, thanks, I'm good. And he would feel stupid, because the 9 of Wands is kind of like, okay, well, now what am I going to do? Because I put myself in a situation where it's really uncomfortable. So it has nothing to do with him not having interest. It has nothing to do also with him not wanting to ask you. I think he's just looking for the best opportune way. And if he is asking you things like, hey, can you show me your artwork? Or, you know, like, let's get together, do it. He's always super nervous and antsy. Yeah, I think that the confirmation card, it's funny, 6 of Swords, again. Somebody who's like a little gun shy or somebody who doesn't exactly know how to proceed. Perhaps also it's not something that they've typically done at work. Because the 6 of Swords is about going into uncharted territory. So it's like, I don't know how to handle this situation because they're, you know, it's so different. I've never done this before. But I definitely feel like the 2 of Wands is opening the door to something you guys will do together. So it's basically, you know, going and doing something very simple. It's not like a full-blown dinner date or anything like that. It probably would be something as simple as going for a walk, having a conversation while you're at lunch, like talking about something in the future. Future plans is what's going to open this up and make it possible for you guys to talk about going somewhere. But yeah, he's afraid of rejection. That's cute. Okay, guys, readings are closed. Let's see, we've got Margaret, Kim, Janae. You guys are on deck. Margaret says, will I heal completely from the surgery I had on Wednesday? 3/12/80. So you're a Pisces. Will I heal from the surgery? You're welcome, Lavender. Let's take a look. I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds invasive to have to do it more than one time. So let's take a look. So she's got one card. Ooh. The card that you got is the Moon. Okay, so the Moon talks about things being unknown. The confirmation card is the Ace of Swords. So that's basically saying you're going to have to give it 1 month. You're going to have to give it 1 lunar cycle before you're going to know. This is also talking about perhaps some of like the hormonal effects of the surgery. So I don't know if, obviously, if you have a cyst, you're going and you're removing the cyst, but I'm wondering if it's going to have hormonal effects on you or hormonal implications, or if they start talking to you about using some kind of hormonal technique to kind of better manage this moving forward. The Ace of Swords can also be for a confirmation card saying that your fear is you're going to have to go back and do it again, or that you're going to have some kind of repeat or something that's going to be removed. I would be really mindful of fear right now because the Moon card talks about not making assumptions when we don't know anything yet, or we can't see anything yet, or that something is not clear, okay? Knowing that you're a Pisces, don't know your ascendant or anything, but Saturn is getting ready to leave your 6th house. So in theory, there should be more positive things on the horizon in regards to what you've learned about your health and what actions you've taken to correct it. On the flip side, Pluto is going into Aquarius. So, you know, Pluto rules your whole sign 3rd. It's going to be about how it's affecting your mental state. Oh, okay, so you're Taurus rising. So you want to watch for the eclipses in Libra, okay, in the fall. Especially like when you have Mars go through Libra and some other transits. That'll be the fall of this year. But I think the Moon card is saying it's much more about rest and recuperation and the mental state and the emotional state, and not going to like worst case scenario. The Ace of Swords does make me feel like that is also saying that you're going to get some kind of feedback, or you're going to have either like a conversation with the doctor, or you're going to end up going for like an exam and they're going to be like, yeah, you're in the clear, you're good. Like somebody's going to tell you definitively, either through an exam or through a test, that you're good to go, but you need to give it about a month. And this also might talk about, because the Moon is a feminine card, also paying attention to changes in your cycle. If you're starting to notice that something is changing or something is off, or new kind of symptoms and things that are popping up, that can be symbolic of whether or not things are going positive post-surgery. But generally, you know, the Moon card is saying, don't worry, we don't know. We have to get through the next month first. And the Ace of Swords, I think, is getting a definitive answer that you're going to be in the clear, you know? And that everything has been removed, right? So everything that needed to be removed has been removed. Hopefully that's helpful. I would also say, like, any post-surgery, green calcite is really helpful. And like bloodstone and tourmaline and smoky quartz and carnelian. That's really good for like the root chakra, like the lower chakras, because that's all like kind of like Scorpio type energy. But I would really say probably carnelian and bloodstone can be really helpful for clearing that stuff out. Hopefully that's helpful. Sending you lots of good health and healing vibes. We've got Kimberly, Janae, and Katarina. Kimberly says, what will be happening with a Virgo the next 3 months? Let's see. So I've seen so much misbehaving with those Virgos. Sag rising, Scorpio sun, Sag moon, sassy. All right, so let's see what's going to happen with that Virgo. Virgos are challenging energy for Sagittariuses, you know, they're exactly, 10 signs from you. So it represents that frustrating kind of Saturn energy. All right, so let's see what the cards say. Wow, we got the moon again. Page of Swords, the moon, the Six of Wands. To me, this feels a little of like questioning or wondering if they're going to communicate well or effectively, right? Pages can represent immature energy, not in a sense of behavior, but something that has not developed yet. If we see the difference between a page and a king, there's a big difference, right? Pages are not necessarily going to master their craft. They're just learning to do that. So this kind of suggests that there can be challenges revolving around communication or getting communication to kind of like continue, or consistency in communication, or communication that is considered to be positive or helpful in regards to the relationship. Specifically, Page of Swords can be like text messages, phone calls, right? The moon card coming up is also saying that you're in a position where you're like, what the heck is going on? Where is this going? What are we doing? Being a Sag rising and then also having this Mars retrograde in your 7th is like, what's going on with partners? What are they thinking? Do they want to fight, or are they just not going to talk to me? And for Virgo, they have Saturn going into their 7th. So they're going to experience partners that are going to be kind of laying down the law in this next month or so. I'm just forewarning you, we're still in the shadow of Mars retrograde. So if you're a mutable rising sign, watching Mars continue to move out in and out of the squares with planets in Pisces the next month is going to be very confusing. Pisces is going to be the main part of the chart that you want to look at because it's creating a T-square. So for you, it's going to be your 4th house, which is, how do I feel? What's my home life like? Am I dealing with my emotions? Do I need to be having some private time? For Virgo, it's going to be their partners, and it's going to be whether or not their partners are allowing them to feel like they're taking the lead, right? So what's interesting is the moon card comes up and you're like, how do I navigate this? I can't read their energy. I don't know what kind of mood they're in. I'm fearful that this isn't going to continue. But it's also about quieting the mind and listening to the intuition and like knowing how to approach them and like getting a feeling for when might be a better time. I would just say you may want to take a look at the full moon in Virgo that's going to be coming relatively soon. Considering that's going to be in, your 10th house, and it's going to be on his or near his sun. It's going to be a turning point where you're going to have more clarity in terms of whether or not he's actually taking the initiative. What's good is that the final card is the Six of Wands. So it's saying that even if you've gone through a period of not communicating well, not getting along, not seeing each other, or wondering if something is going to actually proceed forward, the Six of Wands is like getting together, having a warm welcoming, spending time together, it going well, and that person being really receptive and warm and open to seeing you, or vice versa. So even though maybe there's been some weirdness, his communication has probably been weird or off or short or non-existent due to also things that he's kind of stressing out about or thinking about that he's trying to figure out. You're going to hear from a lot of Virgos, it's all about what's going on with work right now, right? Between Saturn leaving and the retrograde that's coming out of their 10th. For you, it's all about, okay, what are my emotions saying? And so sometimes when that Saturn transit hits, especially in your 4th house, it can be particularly challenging because you have to make peace with kind of being on your own and having more time to yourself. So there can be this sense of like, oh my God, am I alone? But no, it's just the transit. And look at where the transit Saturn is trining your sun, because that's going to be about teaching you a lot about spirituality, about foreign travel, about meditation, and also just finding more opportunities while you have alone time to kind of like really reflect. But I think that whatever space or time, whatever goes on between you guys, I'm not worried about it. The Six of Wands seems to suggest that there is going to be a warm kind of coming together. And somebody who's still very receptive to you and also spending time with you, and that there's still a lot of connection and chemistry there, that nothing has faded. Okay? Ask him what's bothering him with the Page of Swords and the Moon card. I'd be like, is everything okay? You want to talk about anything? Hopefully that's helpful for you, Kimberly. We've got Janae, Katarina, and then Joseph. You're welcome. Janae says, hi, 3-card reading, please. I'm a Aquarius ascendant, Cancer sun, Leo moon. I'm currently in my Jupiter return. Pluto will soon be transiting my first, and I also have my nodal return when the nodes shift. I was wondering what guidance the cards might have about what seems to be the transition for me. Wow. Well, Pluto on your ascendant is a big one. That would be definitely at the top of my list. And whether or not transiting Pluto is aspecting your moon, because you have a Leo moon. What's up, Rome? And your nodal return, if you're, what is that? You're 37, 38, right around that time, depending on your age. That's a big time for growth. I'm not going to say that curbs all the other things, but generally with your Jupiter return, you should be right around that age if you're having your Jupiter return and your nodal return. Is just expanding. It's such a cool time, 36 to 38, because you're expanding into what your chart says you're here to do. So I would say that will supersede any of the other things that are going on, but you need to learn about Pluto crossing your ascendant. Very important. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what these cards have to say for you in regards to what's coming. I've seen so many crazy transformations from a lot of Cap risings who have had that Pluto transit on their ascendant. It's wild. Well, I mean, I get the impression that there is a sense of you knowing the ins and outs of some of the challenges of what is coming probably with the Pluto transit. What's interesting is that you've got the 5 of Swords, 10 of Cups, 4 of Wands. It's basically saying that there will be ebbs and flows and periods where there is going to feel like there is more challenge, but there is reward. There is like a breakthrough that comes from that, right? So the 5 of Swords is learning like not to fight certain fights, or learning that some conversations or some mindsets or some ways of thinking is just really not worth your time, or it's not serving you. One thing I think about is just being an Aquarius rising, right? That's air, and seeing Pluto cross and come into your first house is literally going to represent, what is my personal power? How do I wield power? Do I do it in an aggressive physical manner? Do I do it in a mental manner with intelligence and how I communicate? Do I do it in a, passive, kind of strong, peaceful manner? You're going to ask yourself a lot about this with Pluto going through your first house. And I would say just try to take note of where there's really strong impulses that come in to want to manage things. And sometimes it's preventing things from happening, or if you're feeling out of control, how you respond to that. And what's interesting is the 10 of Cups is saying there's a lot of fulfillment. It's like, okay, well, this is what's going on, but you know what? Like, this is part of the process. And maybe it's just a matter of like getting the lessons a lot more quickly now. And I've seen that a lot for people who are in that nodal return, the second nodal return with the Jupiter return, that they're like, I've done this before, I can do this again. And also knowing that the universe kind of has your back, and that by not going against the grain, you're not spending so much time repeating similar patterns, and you're able to find peace. Right, you're able to find happiness. So it's basically saying that there's a lot of good things that are going to come from this. And you realize how much more simple or how much easier or more peaceful life can be. Four of Swords. It is saying that there is a period of resting and reflecting and also mourning. So it might be that part of what's coming up is that while you have a lot to celebrate in terms of what new things are coming into your life, that there cannot be celebratory things without cycles that also end. And that is so Pluto. It's like this ended, but that began. And it's amazing that I got this, but it was like really painful in the process of letting that thing go. For many Aquarius risings, it's going to be your identity out in the world. It's going to be your career. It's going to be your responsibility. It's also going to be about how you're conducting yourself publicly or your relationship with superiors, bosses, parents, right? You know, politicians, government, whatever. And I think it's about realizing that there are some versions of you that you're just like, that's not me anymore. And you're going through the death and the rebirth process of basically being like, it's okay to put that kind of chapter to rest because something new is emerging. So I think you're going to need time for integration with that Four of Swords, just to give yourself time to kind of rest and recuperate, because first of all, Pluto transits are very slow. You're looking at a year and a half, 2 years where it's going to be within range of your ascendant. And it can mean that there is like a period of slumber and then a period of resurrection, right? Where you kind of come back after maybe kind of being kind of away for a little bit, or, you know, focusing more on your private life. There's a reason why that North Node's going through your 4th house and Jupiter's going into your 4th house. You're kind of focusing on building out that private life, the foundation of your life. So that way, maybe you're feeling like you're being a little bit more authentic with the kind of life that you would really like to create, rather than what you've been portraying out in the world, right? Just based off the nodal transits. But things get really good once you start to have your nodal return. So when you said that when the signs shift, you're going to begin your nodal return in the summertime. So the North Node's going to be going into Aries in July. Jupiter will have already been there. There's going to be eclipses there. These are things you want to look at, knowing that it's going to be going through your 3rd house of Aries. And I think that's about speaking passionately. I think it's about writing. I think it's about connecting with your community. It's probably going to be about maybe blogging or just being very passionate about your words. And I would say between Pluto in your 1st house, Jupiter, the eclipses, the North Node in your 3rd house, it's really important for you to start telling people what's on your mind, what you think, because that strong Aquarian energy, anybody who's got Aquarius sun, moon, rising, I have an Aquarius North Node, these are the people who are going to start showing up and being like, we have to do things differently. So they have like an evolutionary role in some of the things that are going on in the world right now. Like they are meant to kind of act up. We're meant to be acting up, basically, because we're realizing that that's kind of part of the plan of helping wake other people up. You started the blog recently. That's amazing. So you're already doing it, you know? And that's what I like about the Jupiter transit. It's already in your 3rd house. So you're already starting to plan that for the future. So watch for that to unfold more during the eclipses, and give yourself time to integrate some of these things that are kind of coming in your life. And I would say get comfortable with Pluto, and start learning more about him archetypally and how you may see him in your life. And watch for some spooky stuff. When Pluto is on an angle, especially on the ascendant or on the IC, you definitely start feeling like there's much more like paranormal, supernatural things that are happening. Stay hydrated and take resveratrol, because the body goes through like a whole purging and regenerative process while you're going through the Pluto transit. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you don't become a robot. Oh, so you're coming into your Pluto square. Okay. All right, so let's take a look here. Now we've got Katarina, Joseph, Helen, and Stephanie. Katarina, there we go. All right, so Katarina says, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Yeah. Katarina says, Katie P. Katie, what's your question? Let me know. And I've got Joseph's question here. Yep. Helen, what is your question? Let me know. Stephanie, I got yours. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now I see it, Helen. Okay. Is Katarina still here? And Tiffany, let me know your question, please. All right, I will give you a general reading unless I hear from you. So Katarina wanted a 3-card reading. So let's see what the cards say for her. So these are the cards that I got in this order. 5 of Cups, King of Pentacles, 4 of Coins. There seems to be a sense of somebody feeling a little either emotionally overwhelmed or having a difficult time either overcoming a situation in regards to a relationship with an earth sign or like having control over a financial or job related thing. So the 5 of Cups coming up does talk about being in a state of having a difficult time accepting or acknowledging or getting over something, okay? So this is, I'm not gonna say crying over spilled milk, but it's like getting stuck in that and not knowing how to pull yourself out of an emotional situation. There's 2 cups behind the man in the cloak who's got, the dark cloak wrapped around him. So that can be feeling like, why can't I get out of this situation? Why does this keep happening? Why can't I move forward? And mourning something. The 3 cups that are tipped over at his feet, feeling like there was a loss of relationship, loss of friendship, or just having a difficult time emotionally coping. But what's behind him is the opportunity for support, relationships, new people to come in, somebody who can kind of help you clean up the mess. So it's saying that's where you're coming from. Having a difficult time moving on from something often comes up with this card in the past position. Then we have the King of Pentacles. So this can be saying right now, there's a sense of being like, no, I'm coming back stronger. There is an emphasis on health, finance, stability, career, resources, and like handling all of this, managing this. So it can be a time where you're more focused on your career, where you're making decisions and you're becoming more assertive and more direct and figuring out what's going to be best for you in the long term. This can also be a time where you receive some kind of support from an earth sign person or a man. So this could be a Taurus or a Capricorn or a Virgo. So keep an eye out for some of these signs. The King of Pentacles is also just being on top of your resources and your finances. So if you're undergoing some health related stuff, if you're feeling a little discombobulated with finances, if you're feeling a little destabilized because of some emotional stuff that's going on, it's basically saying right now you're in the rebuilding phase and you're going to master that, or that you're going to come back from whatever has kind of knocked you off your horse. This can also mean that you're being more assertive and you're being more practical because it is the element of earth. So there is this sense of not just doing things on a whim and not making wild decisions and just really getting down to basics and focusing on what you need to be able to feel like you have better control, bouncing back from whatever the situation is. Then we have the 4 of Coins, which is a card that talks about stability, holding on, being able to find that you're not wavering or you're not going back and forth. My concern with this card is that it does talk about that if you are coming back from a financial situation, if you are coming back from having a health related situation or a relationship that went sour, don't close yourself off, right? Or don't assume that you can't, let go of resources. Like to me, this seems like disappointments in either a relationship or career. And now that you're going to move through some of that, the 4 of Coins is saying, Okay, so you make the money back, but it doesn't mean that you hoard it and you don't release it and you don't spend it on things or you don't give it back to, you know, other people. It's also saying don't get rigid and not allow yourself to open up out of fear of not getting stable again, or don't fear, you know, like not having consistent work again. So you're just working your tail off because you're like, I don't know if I'm going to have stability or security. These cards are trying to get you stabilized in a physical sense. So health, money, resources, even career stuff. That's what's going to be restabilizing. You'll be in the period of doing this over the next 4 months. To me, it also seems like there is a sense of once things start getting better, like I said, there's this fear of like, okay, but I can't change things. I don't want to change things again. Don't do that, because that can actually keep this from flowing. Your confirmation card that you got also here, this is the Ace of Wands. So it is saying that this is about an energetic shift, pushing things forward, really focusing on new passions, new opportunities, especially when it comes to creativity, romance, and the ability also to just get active and feel like you're really initiating things that are making you happy. So if you're hoping to make extra money, this can be through creative endeavors or hobbies or self-employment or taking chances. If you're looking for new relationships, it's saying that this will come in as long as you're feeling inspired or there's that spark. Transits going through the fire signs as well. So we're going to have that pretty soon once we're getting into Aries season. So there's going to be a new moon here, Jupiter's there. We're going to have a solar eclipse there in April. So there's a lot of things that might be kind of turning around and shifting for you right around the summertime. It's just important not to be rigid, because I can see some rigidness here and being a little gun shy and afraid of like patterns repeating themselves. And I would say don't do that. Give yourself the opportunity to bounce back, but remain open, because it does look like things are going to pan out a little bit better than you were assuming. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful for you. That was for Katarina, Katie, that was you. So you didn't miss it. I did the reading. I just didn't know what your question was. So we've got Joseph, Helen, Stephanie Todman. All right, so let's see what Joseph says. Joseph says, this Capricorn guy added me on Snapchat today. I've been looking for his username like crazy and I failed to find it, but it turns out he found me. I took him off my socials last summer because he got back with his girlfriend. He's a closeted bisexual. We're both men. We had a one-night stand. Are we going to start seeing each other again? Our synastry is crazy. His Mercury moon is on my descendant exactly. My Venus is on his sun exact. His Venus is on my midheaven exact. We have our north nodes both in each other's 7th house. Random, but I've been getting chased around by the fox spirit animal totem and saw a fox in my backyard. I'm an Aquarius with a Gemini rising. Thank you for that insight. That is some crazy synastry. You're right. Fun fact, North Node in the 7th, although it does talk about what could feel like, oh, that's the relationship I'm meant to go towards. For somebody who knows that they like men and that's what you want, then you're going to gravitate towards that. But the North Node can also be what's strange or unusual or foreign, and they don't know how to approach that. So your North Node being in his 7th house can be like, yeah, I want that, but like, I don't know how, right? 7th and 10th house are also both very public. So it can be stuff in regards to public stuff. All right, so let's take a look and see if that Capricorn guy and you are going to start seeing each other again. Sneaky, sneaky. Mercury moon on the descendant. That means that like usually when one or the other person is kind of thinking about the other person, there could be some action there. Let's see. So what is up? Are you going to see this Capricorn again? This is the order that I got it. Capricorns don't do anything unless they have strategically thought it out. And I would say this for any really strong Capricorn placement or 10th house placement, like there's some strategery that goes on there. They need like a vantage point. So there is a few steps ahead of you. Okay. And the fox also is interesting because the fox does have like a trickster energy, but the fox is also, I think, very much connected to like a combination of Mercury and Venus. Because the fox is very sexy, but it is changeable. And it's also, foxes are very communicative, so they'll do things to try to get your attention. They'll make noises. Page of Cups obviously is like that interest, okay? And being that it's coming up in the previous, it's also saying like there's been some emotion, some connections there. Maybe they've been changeable. Maybe he was in, maybe he was out. But there still is interest, okay? The page coming up with the Ace of Coins makes me feel like there's going to be an opportunity to physically connect if that's something that you want to do, or somebody will make an offer or they will make a suggestion. I also think that this is somebody who is trying to at least get your attention, or is trying to see if they can do things to warrant a response from you. Because the Page of Cups is like somebody who's like, are you interested? They'll kind of put it out there a little bit. So just adding you, obviously there had to be some connection there. Then we have the Ace of Pentacles coming up. So that makes me feel like it could take about a month before you kind of figure out what's going on, or you're able to connect. I feel like with the Nine of Coins coming up, it's probably a good idea to play hard to get. Even though these are all positive cards, that coming up in the final position makes me feel like you can't make it too easy for that person to just come back around, right? Because his energy still comes up as the Page of Cups, which is, I'll come when it suits me, when I'm feeling like it, when I want to connect, when I want a little bit of this or that, and then I'm going to kind of go back my own direction. There's no real sense of commitment there. There's still one foot in, one foot out. And the Ace of Pentacles is also saying like looking for somebody who has something to offer you. So the question is do you feel like that person has something to offer you? Because the hand is opening up to the Nine of Coins. The Nine of Coins is like a kept woman. So if this is a gay man, it's a man that's like, I don't need you. Okay, like, what do you want? Like, there isn't anything that you can do for me that somebody can't do for me. So like, what brings you back? So I would kind of roll with that. I'm not saying be mean to him, but definitely let him know that if the cat came back because he wants to get fed, then you're not going to be feeding the kitty, that he needs to actually come correct and have something to offer you, including an explanation perhaps as to where he's been. Hi, this is the tarot giving you the confirmation that you need, the King of Swords, which is like, what do you want? Give him a piece of your mind. Not in a mean sense, but draw that boundary and make it very clear. Like, oh, so you think that you're going to ghost me and then you're going to add me on Snapchat. Okay, cool. How's your girlfriend? That's what I would say. Just put it out there. Although I do feel like the more that you're doing that, the king is going to try to pursue and kind of persist with the lady. You get what I'm saying? And know that he may feel like he's going to tell you anything and everything that you want to hear. But I would say less talk, more action, because the Ace of Pentacles is about physical connection. You get what I'm saying? And also the Nine of Coins knows like you don't need that, or that you don't need that connection to know that there was something there, right? Perhaps maybe there's a sense of him being like, what do I do with this? Like, this is uncharted territory for me, but still something's bringing him back. So you got to lay that boundary and let him know what will and won't work for you. But I do feel like there's going to be an offer. It's like, there could be an offer to exchange. Usually the Ace of Pentacles is like, do you want to go and get something to eat? Or like, you know, I'm watching this movie. Do you want to come over? Like, there could be something like that kind of comes up. But make sure that there's an actual reason to reconnect with him, that he has something legitimate to offer you. Definitely research the girlfriend situation. And if he is bisexual, she should know. Because I feel like most girlfriends would know. But, you know. Not all of us are on the up and up with our gaydar. Hey, Katie, you're going to have to wait until the live is over. I'm almost done. There's a couple more people, and then you'll be able to go back. You can't do it while it's live. So we've got Helen, and then Stephanie, and then Angie. Helen says, anything about work or a guy I'm seeing. All right, Helen. Anything about work or a guy she's seeing? All right, here's the order. To me, this feels like a little bit of being pulled in two different directions. Your mind's on your money and your money's on your mind, and you're like, is this going to affect the connection with this person? Are they going to think that I'm too busy for them? No, I don't think so. 10 of Coins is a really positive card. That's saying that you're just really focusing on stability and long-term goals and financial and career goals, and you're just like grinding it out. And that perhaps maybe especially recently, things are getting to where you're starting to kind of feel like, okay, this is going somewhere, or it's going to be building towards something that's going to actually like pan out. When I see this card, I always tell my clients, like, you're going to realize that it was worth the sacrifice. So regardless of where you're at right now in your career, it's saying like you're going to start seeing the sacrifices actually start paying off. So maybe you don't have as much free time, or you don't have as much flexibility, or you're feeling like you're not spending as much money, but you're starting to see that some of your long-term goals in regards to your career is actually starting to pan out, or you see some long-term potential. The Five of Swords makes me feel like right now there can be some mental stress or some concerns about whether or not you should be focusing on one thing or the other, or whether or not you're fighting some mental resistance. Maybe feeling like you don't need to immediately jump into a relationship, or that you don't have to immediately put yourself all out there. And maybe learning to not hold back, but like pace yourself when it comes to developing a new relationship with another person. And letting go of all the fears or the insecurities that if you don't do this, and this, and completely make yourself available to that relationship, then you're going to lose that person. And I say that because the King of Cups follows. So once again, we've got a situation where we have two very positive cards that's sandwiched with a sword in the middle. And for all of the three of these readings, it's fear and the inability to wrap your head around the fact that things can be different, that things can change, that it is possible to be successful in your career and have a healthy, thriving relationship. To me, it looks like you have somebody who definitely can wear his heart on his sleeve. He can be sensitive and sentimental, emotionally available, interested, possibly somebody who's feeling like very much in love with you already, and showing you through the emotional connection that they can give you confirmation, or they can ease your fears, right? So like if you're having a difficult time finding work or maintaining work, or you're going in and things are just really stressful, like you can talk to that person about that. They're not going to feel like you're just dumping on them, right? And on the flip side, also knowing that you can be present with the relationship, and you can make time for that person and be growing with that person and still feel that you have focus in your career. You can also still feel like you can, have the independence to go and do your own thing, and you've got somebody that also supports you. So it is possible to have both. I think right now it's just a little bit of wrapping your head around that and not going to, oh, well, this is what happened in the past. I threw my career away for this person and then it didn't pan out with that person. And also not making yourself believe that you cannot achieve some of the things that you're hoping to achieve and also have a lot of balance in your relationship. So the Five of Swords, I think, is abandoning some of those old thought patterns, not allowing yourself to go to worst case scenario, and also being mindful of just how you're communicating and how things are kind of coming across. Not that it's negative, but there can be a sense of being like, oh, this is too hard, when really a lot of appreciation goes a long way with the Five of Swords. Like there is a way to turn negative thought patterning and frustration or feeling blocked into more positive ways of communicating, and also having a little bit more appreciation for what you do have, rather than focusing on what's not really going your way or what's kind of difficult. So it's all about how you think about it, all about how you communicate. And I also feel like one can very much positively influence the other, where if you have a good day at work, you're going to want to share that with your partner. If your partner is inspiring you to want to be the best version of yourself, you're only going to be bringing that into work, right? So for both of these things to be kind of growing at the same time, they're complementary to one another. And it's helping you, I think, move out of this mindset of like, well, I can't do both, or these things don't work out for me, or this isn't really like what have you, It's really helping you with your communication and your thought patterning. And I think you've got somebody who's very interested in you. I will say that. So that's really helpful too. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good career and relationship reading there for you, Helen. I got Stephanie, Angie, and Miss Thompson, and then Tiffany. You're very welcome. Thank you for stopping by. All right, so let's take a look at Stephanie. Stephanie says, I just started a new job as an apprentice editor. I just wanted to get some insight about how the job is going to go. Well, congrats on your new position. That's cool that you got somebody who you're working with, I would assume. You're an apprentice, you're working under someone or with someone. All right, so let's take a look at what the cards say for this new position for Stephanie. In this order, wow, we've seen a lot of 9 of Cups kind of coming up. You know, it's interesting, I feel like, and I'm not saying this because it's an apprentice position, but I very much think that this is a place that you'll be to get what you need and to like learn the ropes, but it may either be a place that you don't stay, or it may be a position that you don't stay in and that you graduate to something else. Okay, so I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if they're bringing you in with intentions to have you grow within the company or to promote you, or if you're going into this being like, I'm going to learn everything I can and then I'm going my own way. In the back of your mind, just remember, it's like you're there to go through the process of learning, and then you will graduate and go to the next thing. Okay, this is not your forever place, and that's okay. 9 of Cups is saying being or feeling fulfilled and excited and stoked about the fact that you have accomplished something or that you were able to achieve something. And so that's wonderful. We've seen that 3 times now this evening. It looks like a lot of people are completing really big things. I think a lot of that has to do with Saturn. You know, Saturn's getting ready to change signs. Pluto's getting ready to change signs. We've mastered things. We're going to be seeing this the whole next month. And really just giving yourself a pat on the back for what you were able to make happen. So whether you had to beat other people out to get this position, or you had to pass a test or an exam or a crazy interview process, like you did it. Then the Hermit card comes up, so that talks about really reflecting. And I think that, you know, being an editor is such an interesting thing. Like if you're doing it for stuff that's, you know, published and things that have been written, or if you're doing this for film or like media, you play a huge role in how something is projected, right? So you reading a book, an editor is going to have a huge effect on how that book is going to end up ultimately sounding and how well it may do. Same thing with movies, and the list goes on. So what I like about the Hermit card is that it's saying that this is going to give you the opportunity to be very much, you're going to get to utilize perspective a lot. And it's going to give you the opportunity to really reflect on a personal level and put yourself in a situation and go, well, how would I handle the situation? What would I do? Like really putting yourself in the character's shoes. Oh, okay, for a TV show, cool. And it's going to allow you to access other, I think, parts of your creativity, right? Like you're going to be shining a light on things and talents that perhaps maybe you didn't know, or putting yourself in situations where it's really expecting you and asking you to exercise like a great deal of self-awareness or reflection. So it can be great to like meditate on some of this stuff, right? If you're taking scripts home and you're reading stuff and you're preparing for scenes or like anything, like I would recommend doing that. And I think you're going to be pleased to see that there's a great deal of growth that's going to be able to come from this. But I think that you will ultimately realize I can do more, right? Or maybe you figure out the kind of projects that you want to be possibly working on and like editing, right, down the road. So I think that eventually you will graduate. You promote within 3 different shows that are produced on my floor, all in different phases. Okay. Just know that when the time comes for you to move to the next position, or for you to move to, the next job, right? To me, it looks like it's going to be positive because you've had all the experiences that you need, and then maybe you've learned a little bit more about yourself and become more clear about the type of work that you want to do. You'll perfect it. Virgo, the Hermit card, is about perfecting something. And I also feel like this is going to be about finding like your niche. So there may be like a sense of certain shows that you like working with or certain companies that you like working with, and then you're going to kind of be on your merry way. The Eight of Cups does talk about picking up and moving on, but with the Page of Wands as your confirmation card, perhaps it talks about you going and working on other things that are going to be more adventurous, or things that are going to be much more quickly, you know, put together and developed, or things that you're actively participating in writing or developing yourself. It's about exercising a new sense of creativity. So I think you'll do this to a point where you're like, okay, now I know the kind of work that I want to do and like who I want to work for and who I don't want to work for, and that it's been an opportunity to really kind of show you all of the different dimensions of your capabilities within this particular position. So it'll be really good. Maybe it's also talking about focusing on when we see some action in Virgo. We got a Virgo full moon coming up. We're going to see that we are also going to have a Mercury retrograde later this year in Virgo. So I don't remember your sun, moon, or rising, but I would look at that time period within about 8 months, which is interesting. That's when we're going to be in it, to really reevaluate, do I want to keep doing this work? Do I want to stay here? You know, am I on to the next thing? But I think it's really, I think it's going to be really wonderful for you. Just continue to keep growing within this position. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Congrats on getting that job. That's awesome. I've got Angie. All right. Angie says, 3 cards tonight, please. My Scorpio stellium fiance and I keep getting into gnarly fights. Ouch. Our wedding is May 21st, and I'm having a rough time staying positive in wedding planning. We are both Capricorn rising, and I have Venus, Moon in Pisces, Taurus sun. Can you give me some hope, Queen? Let's do it. Sounds good, Miss Todman. We'll chat soon. All right, Angie. So let's see what's going on. First of all, you know I'm going to be nosy, and I want to see the transits for May 21st. So the sun's going to be in Gemini, the moon's going to be in Cancer. Well, at least you're doing it after a new moon phase. And Venus is going to be in Cancer. Well, it depends on the time. If you're getting, most likely the moon's going to be in Gemini. So new moon, ruled by Mercury. Mercury's getting ready to come out of its retrograde phase. It's conjunct the North Node. And what degree do they have, your Scorpio partner? Because you know Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus, they're all going to be in Taurus when you get married. So for a Scorpio, you know, that 7th house. Did you do a wedding chart? Let's take a look. A lot of Scorpio Taurus access stuff is having issues because of the eclipses. So Saturn is finally leaving Aquarius. So for Scorpios, it's all home and family and heavy karma related stuff. For Taurus placements, it's all about work and career related things. Okay. So, you know, you've also got Saturn coming into conjunction with your Venus pretty soon. So he's going to have Jupiter in opposition to his sun. So at least the transits are better for him when that happens. But to get married while he's got planets 8th house to his sun, that's a big change. Scorpios get kind of feisty like that right before they have to make big life-changing decisions. I'll just say that. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see. You guys keep having gnarly fights. Scorpio stelliums are not for the faint of heart. We can be very difficult to live with. Let's see what the cards say. So this is the order that it came out in. Okay. All right. First of all, we got 2 majors popping up here. We got the Lovers and the Magician card. And the Five of Coins is in the first position. Your confirmation will be the Strength card. I like all the yellow and the bright colors. I think it's crazy that you have all these major arcanas coming up, because it's saying that there's some really big themes that are at play. The Lovers and the Magician are both a very mercurial energy, which means changeable, communication. They need to sit down and see two different perspectives, okay? First of all, wedding planning is super stressful for any person, any relationship, for both parties. But Five of Coins coming up is feeling like somebody's being left out in the dark, somebody's being left out in the cold, somebody doesn't feel supported, somebody's complaining about the financial aspect of it, somebody's saying that it's just like, you know, they're not getting support. Like, do you not feel supported in the process? Has there been stress about handling it financially? Are you concerned because you're about to get married and you're like, okay, this is how things are now. How is it going to be down the road? You got to voice these concerns, right? Because if you're going to be married to this person, you guys need to know how to discuss stuff. And while Scorpio and Taurus are polarities, they're very similar, okay? Taurus can be a little passive because they don't want to create problems, and Scorpio is all about creating problems to kind of just like suck the venom out of the wound. So they will make a problem bigger. And the feeling that I'm getting looking at the Lovers card and the Magician is that anything is possible as long as you guys are navigating this in a way that's like, hey, we love each other, so we have to learn how to work through this, right? But the Lovers card also talks about options and paths. And believe it or not, I see this in this position more as if it's like once you have realized, or once you have a sense of what the problem is, once you've become aware of it, there's no turning back, right? You think about like the Garden of Eden, and once Eve had fruit from the tree, she had that, you know, knowledge, and there was no returning from it. So it's saying that there's a need to look at the situation and the problems that you guys are having, and don't do the Taurus Pisces thing that's like, I don't want to rock the boat. Like, I'm not going to acknowledge it. If I don't say anything, it doesn't exist, because that's going to create perpetual problems down the road. Now that you know that these things can come up and that you guys have these differences, can you resolve them? You know, is this something that you can potentially deal with, having that combative dynamic? Scorpio and Taurus is all about life and death. It's about resources, what you value, what they value, your money and their money. So I'm wondering, with the Five of Coins coming up, are you feeling like you're not loved or supported because you guys aren't on the same page about what you want to spend on the wedding? Are you not feeling supported because he's not, you know, potentially as involved as you would like him to be? Do you go and talk to him and say, hey, I'm noticing this, and you try to discuss it, and you feel like there's no support and that there's combativeness, and then you start wondering, okay, is this going to work? Like, do I have another option? The Magician card is also saying as above, so below, which I think is very, very true with the Scorpio-Taurus axis. I think it's very true with the Pisces-Virgo axis as well. That if there's stuff floating around that's like doubt or subconscious issues or anxiety or fear, it will manifest through the relationship. Like, somebody will not be telling you that they're having doubts or that they're having anxiety or insecurity, but it comes out through their actions, right? And so the Magician can also be a card that comes up that's saying like, we can clear that ritually, magic-wise, you can clear that if that's a matter of gathering your materials and saying, okay, you know, it's time to actually like do something to protect this space, to protect our relationship, to recommit to each other, and, you know, to be able to kind of smooth out some of the kinks that we're kind of getting hit with right now. A lot of it is astrological. I think a lot of it is also stuff that's coming up that perhaps he may think is petty, but it's not petty for you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, usually it's the Tauruses that are cheap, not the Scorpios. So I'm on behalf of Scorpios, I'm very sorry. I will say this. The Five of Coins does seem to suggest that there is a feeling of somebody not being supportive, and whether that's literally, physically, you know, energetically, whatever, not feeling supported. And also, you know, the Lovers does talk about two people coming together and being able to be two parts of a whole. So when you get married, you don't want to have it be a thing where it's like, well, one person has everything. I mean, some guys don't care. They're going to be like, I'm just going to show up. But you don't want it to be a situation where you guys both aren't contributing to creating that dream situation, right? And for guys, I'm not going to say guys don't care, but there is a sense of just being like, I'm going to be there. Like, what else do you want me to do? Like, that's a testament in itself that I'm, you know, like wanting to do this with you in front of all of these people. But I think that the Lover's card is also saying that you guys need to sit down and have a conversation that it's about the union, right? And not getting lost in all of the things that maybe have to be done or the things that are expected of you at the wedding if there's stuff that you guys just don't want to do. So that way you guys can get clear about what you both value and what you're hoping to achieve in regards to the union, right? And then you guys are going to have two different opinions on things. I would say do something magically. I mean, the magician coming up is telling me that there is a way to shift the energies. You have to do it in a way that is going to be more like on the astral. So I would say set intentions about clearer communication. That's a card that deals with Mercury. So work on a Mercury day. So you can like light a candle for communication on a Wednesday. Go and get an orange 7-day candle, right? Put some tobacco in there or some road opener or mercury oil in there. Like make a petition for Mercury and ask Mercury to help you guys communicate better. Burn some sandalwood in the house and have an understanding that, you know, you guys need to maybe have a reoccurring meeting where you sit down and you talk about all of the ideas that you have and you start laying it out and you guys come to an agreement. And I also feel like this is about trying to find ways to shift things so you guys don't get fixated and stuck on the, well, I don't like that and you didn't say this and you didn't do that, because it can become very petty with the Scorpio Taurus sign. And I don't think in your defense, I don't think enough men understand that it's not always that women just want to have like this grandiose thing. It's that like this stuff does cost money. Like a lot of men don't know what it costs to have flowers and cakes and all these things, but also that it's really important to feel like, you know, that you're having your day, and they may not always realize that. Usually it's just explaining to them that you want them to participate that makes all the difference, you know? The Strength card coming up as your confirmation is saying that there is a way to be able to heal and work through this, that it's about nurturing the relationship and the situation and not pushing things, and maybe just letting him know that it's really difficult, that he is not as supportive of some of the things that you want, and so ask him to play much more of a participating role. But I do think that you guys can get through this. I would also say really seriously consider possibly registering the wedding date or signing the paperwork at a different day, okay? Because you guys are going to get married the day that Mars is in opposition to Pluto. As a Scorpio, it's kind of a big deal, okay? You're going to have Mars in opposition to Pluto exactly, and it's going to square Jupiter, which means the partner comes in, Jupiter, like 7th house to the sun, that radically changes home and the direction. Even in spite of some of the other placements, which is not bad, you know, a new moon phase, you got Venus in Cancer, you got Venus in a trine to Saturn, you got Jupiter on the North Node. I would not recommend a Mars-Pluto opposition, because that can ingrain in the relationship moving forward that there is going to be a combativeness and always this feeling between the past, which is the Jupiter in his 4th to his sun, and the future. And all Scorpio rising, Scorpio suns are going to feel this over the next couple months. They're going to be like, oh my God, something radically changed in my home or my family, and my partner's like, I don't care, we're moving forward. So it's going to be overwhelming for him. I would recommend like getting an election reading or sitting down and just picking maybe some astrology a couple days before, a couple days after, to sign the legal documents. This is what I do for clients that already have weddings that are already booked. But I am more concerned about the grand fixed cross in this chart, and the fact that it can mirror that in the relationship, in the marriage chart moving forward. But there's ways around it. So look at the astrology, or I'm happy to do that for you. That is a service that I offer. And do something to clear that energy up energetically. Miss Thompson, and then I've got Tiffany, and then we're finished. Miss Thompson says, should I spend my month sabbatical in Norway? Ooh. Well, let's see. That sounds exciting. Let's see what the cards say. I would always say spend a month somewhere foreign any chance you get, but let's see what the cards say. Well, it looks like this is a good move. It looks like it's a bit of a trek, honestly, right? The Three of Wands is like, wow, it's going to take how long to get there? I have to go how far in another plane, in another car, in a bus, in a train, and then I finally get to my destination. Which is true considering where you're going. It's not the easiest place to get to. But Three of Wands is talking about like an adventure. And it's also talking about the fact that, you know, if it was Two of Wands or Ace of Wands, I'd be like, yeah, you can go. There might be another option. But Three of Wands is saying like already sussing it out, already being like, okay, can I get the flights? Like, where am I going to stay? How do I get around? Like, there's already momentum going in the direction of potentially doing this. What I also like is that it's saying it might be like uncharted territory. So there can be a sense of either being like, I haven't been there, or if I have been there, I'm going to places I haven't been before. I'm going to be staying longer, or I'm going to be exploring things that I didn't get the chance to explore in the past. Generally, this talks about something that is just unknown, right? So maybe it's exciting. Maybe you feel like it can be exhilarating. Notice he's standing alone also. So it talks about, you know, going on this trip and this adventure. And being excited about the fact that it's going to bring something new to you, new vitality, right? I'm also wondering if this is about passion and connecting in a very passionate way, because the green and the red together symbolize this process of something new that's growing. So it can be passionate connections, passionate relationships, opening the door also to returning, because the Four of Wands would be next, and that talks about like a reunion or a reconnection. Virgo ascendant and Sag sun, I spend because, oh, okay, that's right. I remember that there was somebody there as well. Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, you could. I mean, the red is an indication of that. That's about passion and something getting ignited. But you may connect with somebody who asks you to return. And I say that because the Four of Wands is the next card. So it might be like, I connect with somebody. Okay, and now I'm coming back. Right? And if you're Virgo rising and you've got Saturn going into Pisces, this is a wonderful time to like be trying to see if you can meet love in like all of the foreign places. And you've got Jupiter going into your ninth house. So that's also an indication that that's going to be kind of like popping up here soon. Are you planning on going between like March and June? Because that would be really great times to go. March and June. March, June, and then the end of October. Those would be the times, just astrologically, just kind of riffing off of that. Because in the end of October, you're going to see an eclipse in Taurus, conjunct Jupiter. So that makes me feel like, okay, great. Go then. That's a good time to go. The weather's going to be a little bit better there too. But I definitely think that, you know, you may literally go there and be like, now I want to explore. I'd rather see, you know, more so the countryside or nature, or I want to go hiking, or I want to be going on excursions. Like there's going to be a sense of going and being more in the elements, and being able to do things that you haven't done. Yeah, I say go. The card in itself would have been enough to tell you to go, but just knowing your astrology and also the fact that it does talk about realizing that there is opportunities to return, or that there can be something that brings you back, I think is also a really good sign. Good luck. That looks like fun. That looks like fun. All right, so we've got Tiffany. And I know Tiffany asked her question. She says, hi, anything coming soon for love? I'm a Virgo sun, Scorpio rising, Taurus moon. Oh, Scorpio rising, Taurus moon. Well, the Jupiter transits are nice. Jupiter transits and eclipses in your 7th. Watch for that in May. Really, May through November is pretty lit for those Scorpio rising charts. Let's take a look. You just got Saturn going into your 5th house, so it's about getting serious about love. Let's see what the cards say for you, Tiffany. All right, so these are the order that they came out in. Ooh, girl. There is definitely something on the horizon. King of Pentacles, Judgment, and the Fool. Here's what's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of Scorpio risings that have been like, depending on your degree and your natal placements, that have been like, yeah, I'm not doing the relationship thing unless somebody really shows up and really impresses me. Right? When Saturn goes into your 5th house, you start thinking more seriously about love and relationships, and maybe there can be a longing for it. But because Saturn rules your 3rd house, it's about communicating what you're looking for in relationships. And Saturn can also represent Saturn signs, okay? So bringing in a Pisces, or bringing in a Capricorn, or bringing in an Aquarius. What's coming up here is the King of Pentacles. So for somebody asking, well, am I going to meet somebody? Is somebody coming in? Pulling a court card generally will indicate that, but this is also in the past. So this can be also reminding you that you've grown from past experiences, you've grown from past relationships, stronger, more so grounded, maybe you're a little bit more stable and you know your worth, or you know what it is that you're looking for. This can also say that there has been a sense of needing to reason with the past and deciding that you're moving on from the past, that you're not bringing the past into your future. King of Pentacles can be a Taurus or a Virgo or a Capricorn. So keep your eye out for these particular signs. Sometimes they show up right around the time the sun is in their sign. So I would say they can show up anytime, but we do have Taurus season and Virgo season coming up next. You've got an eclipse that's going to happen still in your 7th house around the end of October. I think like the 28th of October of this year. There's going to be a Jupiter North Node eclipse in your 7th house. And Jupiter is the traditional ruler of your 5th. So I would give yourself that long to see that completion kind of make its way full circle to see what's happening with relationships. The truth is that, you know, the Judgment card is saying you're looking to basically say, okay, I've done the work, universe. Like, I've done the self-healing. I've been patient. I've implemented, you know, higher standards. I have been really focusing on myself. Like, now what are you going to give me? So the Judgment card can be a sense of being doled out what you are owed, right? It's different than justice. Justice is like, this is the cause and effect. Judgment is, okay, have you made the decision that you're really ready? Have you done the work? You're ready? Okay, great. Here's the next relationship. So Judgment is saying that that's going to play out. I get the impression that a lot of this is going to be between May of 2023 and February of 2024. Okay, not that far away. We're almost in March, so you're a couple months away. Within that working period, right, of like what? That's going to be about 6 months. That's when you're going to see a lot of things kind of start to unfold. I also feel like the Judgment card can basically say, you know, there are certain things that are resurrecting in you that you are not aware was there, that you have the same feelings coming back again, that you're feeling that you can fall in love again, that you can be super connected to somebody again, you're having hope and optimism and joy. And the Fool card is saying, like, going into a situation being like, I don't know what the outcome is, but I'm going to do it anyway, taking chances. So I do feel like somebody's going to come through that you're going to meet and you're like, okay, I feel like I've learned so much from my past experiences. Now I know how to determine a red flag. Now I know where to stand up for myself. Now I know when to be, you know, transparent or when to be vulnerable, and that you're willing to start new patterns. Well, your confirmation card that you get is the 10 of Cups. So the willingness to, I think, proceed forward and take chances, even if there's no guarantees, are going to play out for you big time. I also feel like just knowing that Saturn's going to go into your 5th house and Jupiter's going to go into your 7th, that will produce some sense of, oh, this is like my person, right? And they're supporting each other. You're going to actually see this really, especially later this year. Saturn and Jupiter will sextile each other. So there can be a sense of, through that stability and consistency with Saturn in your 5th house, it can allow Jupiter to expand. So it can allow proposals to happen. It can allow commitments to happen. It can allow love to grow. And the 10 of Cups is a great confirmation card because it's also saying for you that Happily ever after is very much on the horizon, that it's going to be worth waiting for, and there's going to be some sense of grand union and like building a life with somebody that's emotionally fulfilling. Once again, October, right? This is right around the time that we're getting into October, November. So I would give it that long to play out. But keep an eye out for that earth sign. Looks like somebody might pop in when you least expect it. And the lesson is to just take chances, even if you don't know how it's going to end. Allow yourself to be present with that process. Let me make sure I got everybody. Didn't miss anyone. I think we're good. And yeah, thank you guys for spending Friday night with me. This was a fun stream. We had a good time. I'll be back next week. So on Friday next week, we're going to do astrology just in time for that full moon in Virgo, which looks a little wild, in my opinion. So if you guys want to join me, I'll post the link probably on like Wednesday or Thursday, so you can sign up in advance for that just before we have the full moon. Thank you guys so very much for watching, for donating. Please, if you have not already, give me a thumbs up, like the stream. And you can come back and leave me some comments after you guys have had your reading play out and let me know what happens. As always, if you guys want to connect with me and book a personal reading, you can click the links below. You can go to my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. I offer tarot and astrology combination readings. I also do report readings for those of you guys who can't wait. And if you want to learn how to read tarot cards, if this is like your thing, I have a course on my website that I teach beginner astrology and tarot. So depending on which one you're interested in, then I show you guys my method and how I read tarot cards. All right. Otherwise, I will see all of you guys very soon. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for joining me and take care.